You're going to record?
Yes. Okay, so hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the 5th webinars of this series. I'm Dr. Maria Teresa Garrido. I'm the coordinator of the doctoral program at UPeace. And it's my pleasure to have, again, another Friday, another group of our doctoral students. I will introduce you to Candido Bardales, who will be the moderator of this session. So Candido, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Doctora Maria Teresa. Today I would like to introduce our presenter for this webinar. Today is Friday, September 2nd, 2020. Her name is Nichole McVeigh, who presently serves on the faculty at Earth University, Costa Rica, a position she has held since 2015. She teaches English and conflict resolution communication skills to fourth-year students, as well as grant and proposal writing to first and second-year students. Before coming to Earth, she served on faculty at Virginia Commonwealth University, Richmond, Virginia, USA, as an English language instructor and assessment coordinator for 15 years. Her teaching interests include oral communication and English for specific purposes, focusing on education for sustainable development and peace education in a language classroom. She has undergraduate degrees in elementary education and Spanish from the University of Richmond, USA, and a Master of Arts in Teaching Languages with a TESOL emphasis from the University of Southern Mississippi, USA. In 2018, she embarked on her doctoral journey at the United Nations mandated University for Peace, researching the intersections of language, peace education, and conflicts across cultures. She is presently working on data collaboration for her action research dissertation on building peace communication in a language classroom. Today's webinar is titled Challenges and Opportunity of Conducting Action Research for Your Dissertation. Nichole will examine the challenges of conducting action research during these pandemic times. She will touch upon virtual data collection and ethical consideration that need to be taken. The expositor will use examples from her experience conducting research for her dissertation. There will be space to share insights and tips from the attendees to this webinar. Now, so I will give Nichole the floor. Go ahead, Nichole.
Okay, thank you very much, Candido, for that introduction. And thank you, Maria Teresa, for organizing this webinar for us. This is a great opportunity to share with those interested about my doctoral journey. So I'm going to share my screen. So as Candido said, my title for this webinar is about planning and conducting action research in a pandemic. And when I first started, I was not expecting this pandemic. So this was going to be just planning and conducting action research, which has kind of issues in itself. So we're going to be, I would like to share with you some challenges and some considerations that for those of you who are listening who may also be interested in doing action research and may have questions and comments as well. So today I'm going to share with you my research questions for my doctoral research. I will also share why I chose action research for this and give you a little timeline about what I have done up until now and the present challenges I am encountering in this moment. I will also share some opportunities for growing as a researcher practitioner. And then hopefully we'll have time for questions and time to share from you all, because I do honor and respect that some of you may also have comments and suggestions, because we are all in this, we're all in this together. So my research questions for my, my dissertation are: how can I use my role as an English professor to encourage intercultural exchanges that promote peaceful communication? And my second question is: what pedagogical tools can be incorporated into my class to help students manage, resolve, and transform conflict? The reason I chose action research was when I went through my, started my doctoral journey in the seminars, and I was thinking, I knew I wanted to do qualitative research. And then as I was reading, I really kind of attached myself to action research because it aligns with my teaching style. I have, and I kind of counted back, but I have over 20 years in the classroom. So I feel like action research is something that I innately do all the time. I may not formally do it, but I'm constantly planning, I'm constantly implementing and reflecting. So choosing a formal action research for my dissertation, I felt was really kind of aligned with my teaching style. In addition, it also corresponds to the learn by doing philosophy of the university where I teach and I will be doing my research. So I thought that also was an important part of my reason to choose this. And then one of the things that it's going to allow me to do is to be more of a reflective practitioner. And this is something that for me does not come so easily, honestly. I always start journal writing and I might have like 2 pages and then I forget about it and then I'm trying to remember. So for me to grow as a professional, as a practitioner, allowing me to really reflect on my teaching style and reflect on how I approach my classroom is going to be something that I think is going to really help. And then also, another reason why I chose action research was to involve the students as active participants. I like to approach my classroom as a collaborative environment, and I feel that the students have so much to share and so much to contribute, and I want them to be a part of this as well. So with all of these kind of factors going in, I felt that choosing an action research approach was going to be the best way for my, my research going forward. So now that you understand why I did action research, I just want to give you a little trip down memory lane about what I have done so far that might help some of you. I know some of you, I looked at in the names I recognize there, you all are in, some of you are in different stages right now of the doctoral program, and then others are maybe contemplating whether to do action research. So I'm going to just let you in. I have categorized my research as pre-pandemic and pandemic. So to date, in May of 2018, I was accepted and enrolled in the doctoral program for UPeace. And in August, there was a 3-week doctoral seminar, which I loved to be a part of. And I really got to narrow down my research topic and figure out exactly how I wanted to embark on this research. And this is where I chose the action research. So once I got back home from the doctoral seminar, I started working on my literature review. And then after the literature review, I was working on my theoretical framework, which took a long time to really focus in on. And, but in December of 2019, I submitted my first draft of my proposal, which was the 4 chapters. So it was the literature review, the theoretical framework, methodology, not totally complete, and then my introduction, which also is not totally complete. The introduction and methodology chapters, I know I will be tweaking and changing as my research goes forward. But this was, imperative that I got these 4 chapters done. And then in December, I was able to enjoy a little bit of a break. When I got off of vacation in January, I submitted my ethics application. This is just January 2020. And in February, submitted the second draft of the proposal, and then did get my ethics application approved. So I was very excited about that. And then March 7th, and that I wrote the exact date down because it has a significance here, as you can see. The final draft of my proposal was submitted, and I formally requested for my candidacy exam. And that was March 7th, okay? And just to let you know, in the parentheses, the first case of coronavirus in Costa Rica happened in March 6th. So as you can see here, as I felt like, I was like, yeah, I'm really going really well. I'm doing things, and then bam. So the first coronavirus came March 6th. And so this definitely I kind of had a little snowball effect on my research. So I could have looked at this as a cracked egg and said, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't do anything with this egg. I have to throw it out. But as you could also think about it as an adventure. And that's what I chose to perceive this as this is something, that everyone is going through. I'm not the only one. And so I just kind of needed to take things in stride and work on it together with everyone else who's going through everything. So my research in a pandemic, okay? Now, what I wound up doing at our university here, and as most universities, we basically went totally virtual in March. So, and on top of that, remember, I did have that candidacy exam that I was waiting to get my candidacy date. And that was something that they were saying that it was good. My advisor was saying, oh, that will be a month. And so, so I was like, okay, I could still kind of, get things on target. But it wasn't until June that I did my candidacy exam. So from March to June, not that I wasn't doing anything, but I was a little bit in a holding pattern. I was kind of like that airplane circling around, waiting to land to do something. So, so that really kind of pushed back my research a little bit, because that was like 3-4 months. And that may not seem like a big deal, but the thing for me was the fact that since I'm teaching at a university, I was kind of hoping to have complete semesters to be able to, I can't just jump in a semester. So the good news is that in June, my candidacy exam was approved. And then also right around that time, which was, yay, so happy, I was approved to teach an elective class on conflict resolution skills. And this class was going to be offered in September. So that was when then I focused on preparing for the class in preference, getting it ready for September to December. Then what I decided to do in July, since this was an elective class, I needed to find participants. So I offered 2 webinars to the students, fourth year students who would be eligible to take the class, promoting my class and calling for the participation for my research. And then August 30th, I began the trimester with my class and with my students. The students at this point, they were not part of the research just yet. And it was interesting because when I had my first meeting with the class, I asked the students how many of them went to my 2 webinars, and actually only one of them did. So I then gave a different talk and presentation to the students in the class, offering to see if they would like to participate in the research, explaining to them that it was not necessary for it to be part of the class, but if they wanted to be part of the research, that would be great as well. So fortunately, they all wanted to be a part of the research. And so in September, this whole month of September, I conducted my individual interviews as part of my research. So for my research, I am doing individual interviews, I'm doing focus groups, and I will be also doing journaling as well. So all of this is going to be a part of my data collaboration. So I'm really still in the beginning stages, as you could see here. So I was telling Maria Teresa before we began, I said, I'm so nervous. I don't have all the answers. I don't have the answers. I am, going through, I'm telling you what I've experienced so far, and I hope that maybe I could help some of you in your journeys as well. So I'd like to now focus on some of the current challenges I am facing as part of this situation we're having right now. Explaining my intentions, what I was hoping to do, and what the reality of it is. So how has COVID-19 affected my journey? And I do want to preface in the fact that I have been fortunate than many other researchers and students at this time. I mean, when there are a lot of people who have to stop and postpone, or their grants have been pulled and things like that. So I do want to say that on that end, I am continuing my journey. It's not, exactly what I wanted, but for right now, I'm happy with how it is going. So so I do have just kind of minor setbacks or changes that I had to do. The first one was basically time. So I intended to start my research to coincide with my second trimester of teaching, which would have been in May 2020. And I was hoping to have my participants to be in the English class, which I was teaching at the time, which is called English 402. But mainly because I had established a relationship with these students, because I also taught them in the first trimester. So these were students that I knew. These were students that we had built trust and a relationship. And so I was hoping to have those students be a part of my research. And then as kind of an obvious thing, I was also hoping to do my interviews and focus groups held face-to-face. But neither of those things were able to happen. So I just kind of sigue adelante and began my data collection in the third trimester. So I'm just one trimester behind. The participants are from a newly created course on conflict resolution skills. Some of these students never took a class with each other. So, so that's kind of an interesting change. Most of the students I know. I have taught before, back when they were in first year, but there's not that kind of, relationship that I had been building with the students from the other class that I was intending to work with. And my individual interviews that I did in September, I had to do all of them through Teams, Microsoft Teams. So that also was a bit of a challenge because I did not really, I was kind of working on how to work with virtuality and trying to, be kind of warm and opening when you know that you have this screen here, like right now, I'm talking to my computer. I don't see you guys at all. There's this like, this kind of, I don't know, cold distance. So that's been a real challenge for me. And then also my focus groups, I haven't started them yet. And I'm opening this up when we have some time for discussion. Right now, I've been reading, and I think I'm planning on doing them asynchronous and online. And I have been reading up on the advantages and the disadvantages of that. Focus groups, to me, is a time where people are able to share their their stories and their feelings. And I just, at this moment, I don't feel the love of the computer. I really don't. And that's been a huge challenge for me, and how this COVID has affected my journey. So, but that's the reality of it. I mean, I could sit in a corner and cry, but and the other thing that really has kind of put it focused a lot is the ethical considerations. One of there's ethical considerations for two parts. The first part is the actual action research part, and then the ethical considerations about moving my research to online, to virtual. So I want to talk a little bit about the action research part, because if any of you are in education, there's plenty of opportunity for action research, and all of the ethical considerations that would be part of a regular research is valid for the action research. And it's also something that you need to really think about when you're planning your action research. And one of the things that I've been pulling from is from Jane Zenny, who has really helped me see that as a teacher, as a practitioner, as an insider, so to speak, because I know my participants, this is not a bad thing. And it's actually can be very enriching, and showing caring, showing respect to the research is something that is important. The responsibility that I have as a professor, as a researcher, as a person is big, and I have that in mind as I'm doing this. And then the social commitment is strong with action research, as it would be for any type of other research, perhaps in an education. One of the concerns that you may be facing if you're planning action research or have been reading is the kind of the complexity of power. So if you're a teacher with the students, or a teacher with parents, or teachers with faculty, and then the interpersonal complexity of it, the relationships that you would have with all of these kinds of people. And that's not an ethical threat. It needs, you know, it's something that you can think about and be aware of, but it's not necessarily something that might really harm your research. Instead, embracing it and using the bonds of your caring and responsibility to bring this research to light. So, so that's the ethical consideration part for action research that I had already been thinking about it. I had already been doing back in, you know, preparing for my candidacy exam in June, and working on this in January when I was getting my ethical approval from the IRB at UPeace. And then, and then virtual mode came in. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to start thinking about all of these other things in the virtual mode of it, about privacy, about consent. What is it valid? What about signatures, things like this, confidentiality, anonymity. Okay, if you are recording something on the cloud, where does that go? Who has access to it? The integrity, what do I have control of, and what is out of my control? What's the environment when it is? And then if we do have discussion forums that I do in class, if there's blogs, all of this kinds of the social responsibility that we have to make sure that this is not something that, you know, gets blasted over social media. So these are all really valid ethical considerations for those of you who are doing your research right now. All the other norms for ethics apply. It's just that there's an extra layer, and it really centers about the privacy of it and how we could ensure we have the information, that the data that we're gathering stay safe. You know, it's funny, you know, as I'm reading up on ethical considerations, it's kind of interesting because they talk about, oh, you know, putting all of your papers in a locked box in your office. I'm like, ha, 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 locked box in my office. You know, it's like, okay, you know, now, you know, my office is a corner in my house and everything is now virtual. So, so these are all definitely considerations for those of you who are thinking about doing virtual research and gathering those. So, is this a problem or is this an opportunity? Okay, so you look at this picture here and you see beautiful moss growing. Is that a problem or is that an opportunity? Okay, so I want to focus this as this whole kind of situation instead as being an opportunity. And so as I was kind of living the last 6 months and trying to figure out moving everything to virtual, how can I approach my doctoral journey in a positive way in light of the current situation? What can I contribute? How can I grow as a professional and a researcher? And how, this is kind of the important thing, how can I continue this journey in a timely manner? I know that there have been many students that have had to stop their research and have had to put it on hold because of things that are out of their control. So these are all questions that have been kind of going around in my head as I've been focusing on going forward in my data collection, in my data collaboration. So focusing on the opportunity and not the problem, I am thinking about new learning opportunities for me. I have learned how to do virtual interviews, working one-on-one in a virtual way. I'm using Microsoft Teams, which was something that is new to me. Also working on Microsoft Stream, which is part of Microsoft Teams, and that's their recording device for Microsoft. And I did, because my university were advocating using Zoom. When I was looking at the privacy issues for Zoom and for Teams and for Google Meets and for all these types of places, again, I'm sure that there's different avenues and different criticisms in all three of those. But for me, Microsoft Teams seemed to have the more secure privacy issues. And so I've been using my interviews through Stream and recording them there. It's completely secure as far as I know with the ability that I have. It is not on YouTube. I'm not posting them anywhere. And one of the things also that I liked about Stream is that they do have a transcription capability when you are recording your interviews. Again, it's not foolproof, so you have to go through and correct some of the words that may be said, but that's been how I've been seeing this as an opportunity for me to kind of learn new modalities. I am also learning about online asynchronous focus groups. I mentioned that earlier before that, the reality of it. And I've been reading on the fact that it's having a focus group focusing on one particular topic, and then having the participants able to respond in a more comfortable way, having them think about what they want to write or say is what I'm hoping to get up on this. And I have been, I'm still, I still have around 4 more weeks until I start doing my focus groups. So the other kind of semi-traditional, not really traditional, because it's still something new, is to do it through virtual means, getting through a focus group. So that's the other option that can happen with my research. And also to keep reminding myself that I am doing action research, Nichole. So action research is already designed. It's kind of got this like safe spot there. It's designed for the unexpected. So it's not always clear cut. If I plant a seed, I expect it to grow, and that's science. But action research is not like that. So things that are very organic, and they kind of are flexible. So realizing that this opportunity for me is a great opportunity for me to grow as a reflective practitioner, and also to be able to contribute to the field in creating ways to do our research virtually. And so that's something that I would like to think about. So I'm getting to the end of my my presentation, because I did want to have some time for people to open up and ask questions. But I do have my resources that I used for this particular presentation one of the things that those of you who are interested in doing action research, there are 2 Facebook groups that I joined that I think have been a really great kind of self-help for me. One of them is on action research tutorials. That's the name of the group. And that's focusing mainly just on action research. And then the other one is called Innovative Social Research Methods. And a lot of the information that is coming from that Facebook group now is all about how to do my research in a pandemic. And so for those of you who are in that same situation, you may already be in those Facebook groups, but you may find that those Facebook groups may help you. The other resources I have are all articles about trying to carry out your research during a pandemic. So I hope these would be helpful for some of you. So now I'd like to open up for questions. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I encourage, if you have questions or comments on anything to share, please feel free, because I think that we're all in this kind of together in this era. No one asked for this, but we are one of those that we could actually draw from the experiences that all of you guys are experiencing right now. So thank you. Thank you for listening. Stop share, Candido.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nichole. Yeah, so we see someone has up their hand already. We open the floor for those who want to share or ask questions or make a comment. We see Tia Mike. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, brother. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. You can go ahead and ask your question or whatever.
Okay. Nichole, this was an excellent presentation and I really enjoyed it. And also I think it was personal in the sense that I relate to a lot to what most of the things you have shared. Like this COVID experience is affecting, I think, every student everywhere else, particularly with research. It's even more demanding. So I share some of those sentiments. I just wanted to know, because I'm meant to believe that action research has an element of transformative. So like maybe there's a hope that something will change in light with your studies. I wanted to know how you're able to, or how you've thought about how that's gonna look like virtually, like whatever it's gonna change, like how is that gonna be able to be translated virtually, like what impact at the end is gonna happen, but in a virtual sense. I'm very curious about that.
That's such a great question, Tia. And yes, I was thinking about you, and I know that you will be doing your webinar, I think next week, about the impacts of your research with the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to hear what you said. But yeah, so part of action research is that it's supposed to be, it has a transformative social action part of this. And it will be so interesting, I mean, to see how this pandemic, how I'm doing my virtual interviews, how I'm doing my virtual focus groups, you know, how that would change. And, you know, and I don't have anything, I wouldn't have anything to compare it with, because I started my research during this time. But, you know, one of the main parts of my research is to be building that relationship, building that trust, and trying to understand or to investigate, is that happening in a virtual situation? Can we build this type of sense of community when all I see are little squares with people's names on it and maybe little pictures? it's such a valid question. I don't have the answer to it, but I would love to find out if this is going to happen. And my guess, part of my research will be checking in with my participants, checking in, doing what I call debriefing questionnaires, seeing about their perceptions and their thoughts. And so that would be definitely a question for them. Thank you.
Now, is there anybody else have a comment, question? It was a really, really interesting presentation.
No one. Those of you who are here and are in different stages of maybe your research, if you have any comments to share about what's been working for you, we'd love to, I'm sure all of us would love to hear that as well.
Nichole, I was thinking about, you said one of the methods you're going to use is focus group. As well, you're going to do online streaming through team interviews. So how are you going to store your data? What in terms of confidentiality and privacy?
Yeah, so right now I have for the moment, I have my my interviews stored on a jump drive that's password protected, and I do have them on. I've been slowly putting them onto Microsoft Stream, and from what I understand from Microsoft Stream, that it is private on there, so I don't have them shared with anyone. The only ones who could access that particular interview is myself and the person who had the interview. So I am going to be, making sure that is, that stays like that. I'm always watching because so many things have been evolving with privacy issues. With these virtual, with say Zooms and Google Meets, that sometimes you're looking in the news and something says breach of privacy and something. So that is definitely a concern, and that's one of the biggest, I think, for me, a concern that I have is when I put that thing that says like in the cloud, where does that cloud go? So yeah.
Thank you. So I believe that people can also post their comments or questions on the chat. There is one here from Mohammed. Internet sometimes unstable. Does this affect the quality of the research?
Yeah, I noticed as I was presenting, my screen came up that my internet connection is unstable, and that can definitely affect the research. For me, doing my research, again, internet connection can be unstable, and for most of my participants, they are all on campus here. So if my internet connection is unstable, theirs is probably unstable as well. But for those of you who are thinking about doing virtual interviews, virtual data collection, and it may be all over the world, that's definitely something to think about, is the internet connection. I have noticed that when I've done my my recordings, that if the student or the participant is having internet connection unstable, but I'm the one who's recording, then mine does come out clear. So that might be helpful. But if the person who is recording has an unstable internet connection, that can definitely affect the quality.
Okay, thank you. There's someone with their hand up. Ahmed, you can go ahead.
Ahmed, you have your mic off.
Hi, Ahmed. Are you there? We see your hand up. You can go ahead.
I don't hear you. Maybe if you can write your question in the chat, I'd be happy.
Okay, do you hear me right now?
Yes, now I do. Thank you.
Okay. Nichole, thank you very much for your nice presentation. We are in 2020, a year unlike any other years. So I hope your presentation will be an impactful presentation, inshallah. I would just like to ask you a question. Although we are in 2020 and many articles are being made from this pandemic coronavirus, are you expecting that someone else anywhere in the world is going to make the same topic as a thesis or as an article?
I'm sorry, let me see if I could understand the question. You're asking if I am concerned that someone else is going to do the same topic, right?
Yeah. Are you expecting that someone else anywhere in the world is doing the same topic?
Well, I'm sure many people in the world are doing action research right now, and most people are probably going to be doing action research virtually. So I think that we can all learn from everyone's contributions. And so my focus of my research is basically the intersection between peace education and language. So I did not really talk about my actual research in this because my focus of this presentation was just to talk about the research process in general. And I always think that that's always a fear for every PhD student, is that you have to hurry up and complete your research and stuff before someone else finds out and writes the same thing. I think but the thing is that we are all contributing to the field. So what I'm experiencing here in Costa Rica might not be what someone else is experiencing in Morocco or in Russia. So, so having all of these types of experiences and people sharing their experiences, we could get a little bit more understanding about the impact that this is having on the research field. I think that's going to be a really interesting and fascinating information that we're going to be getting from this. And I encourage everyone to write about their experiences, because I think that that's going to be important.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are waiting that this will be published soon, inshallah, and we hope that the rest of your thesis will be done with all kindness, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed.
You are welcome.
There's a question here from Mohammed Sabra. Hello, Nichole. Thanks for inspiring presentation. My question, you mentioned that your experience is problem or opportunity. Can you explain in details the opportunity? Thanks.
Well, when I was relating the problem or opportunity, I was really referring to the actual pandemic, about how for so many researchers and so many students that this pandemic really was a big problem for many people. And I was fortunate in that for me, it was just kind of a little bump in the road. And I have focused on this as an opportunity to learn and grow. I was not expecting, if you asked me back in March, I was not expecting to really delve into virtual meetings and virtual modalities of conducting my classes and creating dynamic and interactive lessons based in front of a computer screen. So seeing this as an opportunity has kind of helped me stay focused on completing and continuing on my journey, where with some others that might not be so fortunate that they might have to take a break from it. So that's what I was referring to with problem or opportunity. I hope that answered your question, Mohammed.
Floor is open again, everyone. You want to wait some more, Nicole, to see if anybody else have any question or comments?
No, if you checked all the chat there, everyone's been, I haven't checked the chat, so.
Yeah, I'm checking the chat.
Going to you.
Yes. Okay, there's one here from Bach. Thank you for the presentation. I just heard that your research is on peace education and language. Please kindly, explain about your PhD research. As I am also a peace educator, I am interested in that aspect.
Oh. Okay, well, thank you very much, Bob, for your question. I do notice that we only have 6 minutes, so I will not be able to explain everything about my research in 6 minutes, but my focus is on the intersection of language education, and most specifically, I teach English as an additional language, and incorporating peace education into these language classrooms. So my research will be about how that can manifest in a classroom setting, and how and how I can, as an educator, be attuned to be able to do that. So that was the 30-second the 30-second introduction of that. But yeah, I'd be more than happy that's probably another presentation.
Okay. Okay, so we're good.
All right.
Well,
thank you. Thank you for this space. Thank you for coming and for listening. And I wish everyone, the best in wherever their journeys take them.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thanks for the short presentation, but very informative. And it's a very good opportunity for us as PhD students or doctorate students to share what we're doing and our experience so far. And thanks also to all the participants for listening in and sharing or asking questions to Nicole. Thank you very much, everyone. And thanks also to our coordinator, Doctora Teresa, Maria Teresa, sorry. So thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think our next, the next presentation in the series, I think, is it Tia? I think, are you doing it next? He'll be talking about his research, so.
Yes, but I actually, after this, I'll have to jump to write something to Nicole, to Maria Teresa, because I'll be facilitating the master students during that week. So yeah, it just dawned on me today. I was like, oh, wait. So we might have to change time, but you see the emails.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to end now. So thank you very much, Nichole.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.